You're listening to the IO Soapbox with Aiken. I'm an IO psychologist, which of course means no one knows what I do. Now on this show, we are going to talk about IO psychology. I'm hoping that some of you not in IO will want to join us, and those of you in IO will be inspired to break new ground. Now, let's get me a cup of coffee, because I'm tired, and then it's time for me to rant about random things on my soapbox.
So you're probably wondering about how I got to where I am. And obviously by where I am, I don't mean right here, because that was actually pretty straightforward. So I started out in my office, right? And then I left my office, and then I walked up this little hill, and then I came to the coffee shop, and then I found a place to sit. So that one was actually a pretty easy story to tell. But in terms of how I got into IO psychology, because it's such a poorly marketed field, bless it, that obviously is more of a convoluted story, so might as well go ahead and tell that now.
My path to IO psychology began my first year of college. After my first semester, my parents called me. They had just gotten the bill, and they said, "So you're graduating early, right?" And, I've talked to them recently, and they thought they were joking. They thought they were being very funny. But as a very serious little thing, I took it dead serious, and I said, sure, absolutely. I will graduate in 3 years, not in 4. I will graduate early. So when I was figuring out what I could do to graduate early, what major I might take, I looked at the credits that I had coming in to college, and I'd had credits from multiple classes that I had either taken, as college courses when I was in high school or through AP courses. At my university, the introductory psychology class was actually an introductory psychology sequence. It was 2 classes. And so since I had a 5 on my AP exam in psychology, I actually got 6 credits in psychology coming into undergraduate. So looking at all possible majors that I could take, it was very clear that psychology was going to be the best path for me to graduate in 3 years. So that was it. That was in my mind. I was a psychology major, period. But I knew that going into psychology, for myself at least, I knew I'd have to go on and get a graduate degree after I completed my undergraduate. So I started at that point in time, my first year, thinking about how I might go about getting a graduate degree in psychology and in what subspecialty. And I took a lot of these different psychology classes. I took, social psychology, personality theory, cognitive psychology, and I truly did love them. But there were 2 problems. So first of all, I found that each of them was kind of limited. Social psychology, all about the social situation. Personality theory, all about your personality. Cognitive, all about what you carry in your brain. And I said those all seem reasonable, but no one of them is so much more compelling than the others that I would really want to dedicate my world to it. And the other problem was, of course, I wanted to make money. I really wanted to be able to support myself financially. So I was like, man, what do I do? I like psychology, but I also like money, and I want to make a living. So I convinced myself that I was going to have to get a degree in business. And one day, I happened to be talking to a friend of my mother's who worked at the place that I was working at for the summer. And I said that to him. I said, I really do love psychology. I'm trying to figure out what to do with graduate school, but I want to make money, and I don't know what to do. I guess I'm going to have to do business. And he said, well, but have you heard of industrial organizational psychology? No, of course I hadn't heard of industrial organizational psychology. Nobody talks about it. Nobody mentions it. I had no idea what this was. So I went back and I Googled it, and it seemed reasonable. Really, that was it. It seemed reasonable. I said, cool. I guess this is what I'm going to do with my life. I really did just decide off that one conversation that was what I was going to do with my life. I said, all I have to do is the GREs. I can apply. I'm down. I can do industrial organizational psychology for the rest of my life. I'd never taken a single class. I actually hadn't even read a single book, which is a little bit embarrassing. And I just went from there, and I applied to PhD programs in industrial organizational psychology, after building up research experience and things like that. But that was it for me. It took one conversation, a friend of my mom's, to convince me that industrial organizational psychology was the choice.
So that's how I got into IO psychology, but that is not how I recommend anybody else get into the field. I got lucky. I stumbled backwards into a field that I absolutely love. And that happened because I really didn't have a lot of guidance on how to get into IO. But you don't have to go that way. There's lots of information out there on what IO psychology is and what you can do to get into the field. I mean, obviously you're starting in a great place here with me on this show. Also check out SIOP's website, siop.org. And that is the Society for Industrial Organizational Psychology. It's our primary professional organization. There's a lot of information on IO on that website. There's a lot on the internet. Professors have a ton of information. You can find out a lot more about this field and get engaged before you commit to it in the way that I did. You know, I got lucky. Don't look to get lucky. Be strategic about your career and the steps that you take to put yourself in a job that is meaningful and has impact in your life and in the lives of others. So go ahead, get researching, keep watching the show, and let's see if IO is the place for you.